So we have A-level past paper 3, case study for 2020 May, June. So we have to go to the case study first, the inserts. So HB&G, that's HBG Gardens, was established in 1965 as a social enterprise. And when we talk about social enterprise, we're talking about enterprises or businesses that are set up not for profits. Their aims and objective is not to make profits. That is what social enterprise are. So I'm just going to review them because we don't have much time. Okay. Let me see what is important here. So the strategic review, they said they made the last paragraph they said HBG appointed Zobio Alves as managing director in October 2018 with the objectives of increasing membership, admissions, and income as they have been falling in recent years. So they have employed Eusebio for the fact that the business is not doing well. So that's why they appointed Eusebio as the new managing director. So then Eusebio started by conducting a strategic analysis of HBG. He completed the SWOT analysis. When we talk about SWOT analysis, we're talking about the strengths, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threats that could affect the business. So when we talk about strength, we're talking about what HBG is doing well. The strength of a business is what the business is doing well. The weakness is what the business is not doing well. The opportunities are what are in the market that the business can explore. The business is finding, that means there's a gap in the market that the business can explore on. That is the opportunities. Then we talk about the threats. We're talking about factors that could affect the growth of the firm, probably competitors, legislation, or whatever it is. Do you understand? Laws, competitors, actions of competitors is also part of the threat. So whatever would not allow the business to be able to, to explore the opportunity in the market, that's what we call threat. Do you understand the difference between strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats now? Great. We'll move on, right? So, brands, these are what it all means. So Zobio noted that the following observation made by employees, managers, and customers. These are notes from employees and managers and the customers because they are all stakeholders. We have what we call stakeholders. Stakeholders are people. It's not here. But when they mention employees, managers, and customers, they are referring to stakeholders. So who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are those people that have interest in the business. I think you know that. Great. So they said local managers were frustrated by the time taken for senior managers to respond to ideas for innovation and change. So yeah, the local managers are complaining about the time senior managers that give back response regarding decision, which is not good for them. Other employees feel that they have little responsibility and are just given orders without explanation. So that means it's always downward communication. It's not upward. If it is upward, that means subordinates can also make reference and they can also contribute. But based on what employees are complaining here, they are complaining that everything is always upward or downward. Downward. You understand? The third one, customers complain that they are not valued and there is little opportunity for giving feedback to HBG. So that means customers are saying that they don't get response, feedback from HBG, which is not good. So Eusebio used this analysis to identify 4 strategic changes required in order to achieve objectives he had been set. 1, making the business more responsive to market changes. 2, improving social responsibility, targeting younger customers, improving financial control by establishing profit centers. So these are the objectives now, based on the feedback he received from the stakeholders. So Eusebio recognizes that these 4 strategic changes would need to be supported by developing a change culture within HBG to be successful. When we talk about a culture of change, it means, I'm giving you different terminologies here now. When we talk about culture of change, it means those attitude of the business that becomes part of them has to be changed. That is culture of change. Oh, we are used to doing this. That's what you are used to doing. It's not making the company to go forward. We have to change it. That's what we call culture of change. Do you get it? So we move on. Centralized control. At the end of 2018, Eusebio told his board of directors that HBG is bureaucratic with a centralized organizational structure. It is essential to change the way the business is organized and make it more responsive. He proposed the following changes again. Remove 3 layers of middle management. When you remove layers of management, it means you are delayering. We call it delayering. That's the point there. Do you get my point? Okay, let's just continue. So that's the layering. Delegate greater authority to managers of buildings and gardens to make decisions. When you talk about delegation, it means you are making people to act on your behalf. So for centralized control, when you talk about centralized control, we're talking about, you saw centralized there, right? Centralized control means the authority comes from the most senior ranked officer, maybe the managing director. That is centralized control. But they are complaining that centralized control is not fine. For centralized authority, it means the authority, it's upward, it's downward. So the one at the top gives or makes the final decision. That is centralized. But they are complaining based on the managers and the employees. They said they are not valued, that they are not their voice is not being heard. So that's why Eusebio wants to remove 3 layers of middle management. And the other one is delegate authority. When you delegate authority, it means you want people to act on your behalf. That is delegation. You are the manager, you are giving me authority to act on your behalf. That's what we call delegation. Do you understand delegation? And when there's delegation, it improves workers' motivation. Are you getting me, please? Okay. Operates buildings and gardens as individual profit centers. So you want to work separately now. Instead of working everything together, we want to separate them so I can know the profit this one is making, the profit that one is making. I'm doing this analysis. This is not where the question is, but I'm trying to analyze the case study before we go into the question. Do you like it that way?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then, however, the board of directors would retain control of national marketing, purchase of new buildings, IT infrastructure, and strategic decisions. Okay, strategic decisions. Making. So the Human Resources Department, the Human Resources Director expressed concerns about the implication of decentralization and that the need of training. However, in early 2019, HBG began to implement the organizational changes proposed by Eusebio. This followed a 2-month employee consultation. So decentralization would meant that some workers, some managers, some top managers would leave their job. They'll be made redundant. And the human resources manager is complaining about why the human resources manager will be complaining is because when you make workers redundant, you have to pay them redundancy fee because they are not sacked. They are only surplus to requirements. That is what the redundancy means. It's different from being kicked out. When you are kicked out of the organization, you don't get paid for that. But when you are being made redundant, it means your service is no longer needed, but you've not done anything wrong. So they have to compensate you for that. Do you get the point there?
Yeah.
Okay. So we go to social responsibility. Eusebio thinks that HBG should focus more on its corporate social responsibility, CSR. We call it CSR. He told the board of directors that we can gain a competitive advantage. When we talk about competitive advantage, I'm trying to make the terms. Okay. When we talk about competitive advantage, it means the edge you have over your competitors, over your rivals. What is making you better than them? What is giving you that position you have that they are not getting there? That is what we call competitive advantage. Is it clear? Okay. So over other businesses in the leisure industry, if we focus on increasing our positive social and environmental impact. So Eusebio is telling the board of directors that for them to have a competitive edge over competitors, they should be socially responsible. That is the point there. I think it's clear. The target market, Oldbury Castle, and there are a lot of things to do here, and we have the analysis. So I'll just go to the analysis here. We have revenue, we have direct cost, we have direct labor, we have fixed cost and allocated fixed cost. Are you there? All right. So this will take us, because there are lots to read about, but this will take us to the question. So we'll go to the question. Are you there? Yeah, the first question says, analyze, based on what we've talked about, we'll be able to answer, and if we have to go back, we'll go back. The first question says, analyze the likely impact on HBG's cost and revenues of increasing its focus on corporate social responsibility. First, you have to define what corporate social responsibility is. Corporate social responsibility means the firm is taking a stance in taking care of stakeholders rather than shareholders. Shareholders are part of stakeholders too, but when you think more of your shareholders, it means you think about making profits. You don't put into consideration the rest of the people that have interest in the business. So that is what corporate social responsibility is. I wrote, it implies to the activity of business to put into consideration the interests of stakeholders rather than just the shareholders. That means you are socially responsible. Do you get it?
Yes.
So the business is not just thinking about profit, it's thinking about the rest of the stakeholders, the customers, community, government, or banks. Do you understand? That's the first thing. So if you have to be socially responsible, what are the impacts? Because it's a decision that you have to take, right? So what are the impacts on the costs for you and your income and your revenue? Do you get it? Corporate social responsibility is a decision that you have to take. So if you are taking this decision, what are the costs of taking this decision? And what are the benefits of taking this decision? That is the question. Do you get the question now? So I wrote, the following are the impact of CSR to HBG in terms of cost and revenue. One, access to disabled. So based on the corporate social responsibility, when we go back to the case study, are you there? Social responsibility here.
Yeah.
Okay, so go down to the target market. They said country R has an aging population. HBG has used a consistent marketing strategy for targeting its core customers. I'm just going to go and skip and find where we are going. They said 50% of visitors bring children to HBG building, and of these 20% we are grandparents bringing grandchildren. Families with children are this. So although there is a good brand awareness, 60% of respondents were not aware. Let me see where we can use. Okay. They said price. Okay. Most customers use under 50 use the internet and the proposal. Yeah, they said HBG missions is this. Order this, plan making this, install. Okay. Yeah. Here they said HBC mission is to conserve historic building and gardens in country out. It keeps a sizable fund to enable it to purchase appropriate buildings and gardens. HBC is about to purchase this and this and okay. So when we talk about social responsibility, for the old ones, yeah, they said 50% of visitors bring children to HBG buildings, and of these 20% were grandparents bringing their grandchildren. So for HBG to be socially responsible, there I wrote, HBG should give those ones that are disabled access to this garden. So if it gives access to those that are disabled, that means it's taking care of the society. That is socially responsible. What can that bring? It increases the cost because HBG would need to care for those things without people paying for them. Those disabled people not paying, but that could increase the reputation of HBG. You don't get it. Here I wrote access to disabled. Providing access to the properties to disabled will increase the cost as they are historical, but they could increase the revenue through membership. If disabled people are given access to view these buildings,
Okay.
that would mean that certain number of people would go there without paying, which is a cost because they are not paying and they are using it, which is a cost. But those disabled people might influence others to come.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So if others want to come, based on the fact that they have their disabled people, they are disabled that are allowed to come in. But disabled people cannot just come in. They need people to bring them in. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So those people that would need to bring them in might need to be a member. So they have to pay.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's going to increase the cost and at the same time increase membership for HBG. So if the family has a disabled person, to allow the disabled person in, the family member must have a membership card for HBG.
Yeah.
So that increases the number of people that would come to HBG. Do you get the first point there?
Yeah.
2, minimum wage. Minimum wage is also part of social responsibility. If government increases minimum wage for a country, okay. So if HBG pays workers minimum wage, it means HBG is following the rules and regulations of government. Do you understand? So if HBG is following the rules and regulations of government regarding wages, it might increase the cost of wages. and that is the cost of production for HBG. But what is the benefit of it? Workers will be getting higher pay, yes or no? And as a result, they might be motivated to do more. That will increase productivity.
Yeah.
So, do you get what we are talking about here?
Yeah.
The first one is giving access to disabled people, which is a social responsibility about the community. When you do this, disabled people will be able to come, but they won't be able to come alone. They might have to come with their family member. The family members have to pay to have access to it. That's the first point. The second one is about minimum wage. So if HBG pays its workers minimum wage, that increases workers' motivation. And if workers' motivation is increased or improved, productivity will increase. And if productivity increase, it will reduce the average cost of production, which is good for HBG.
Yeah.
Do you get the point there? The third point. Using renewable energy. When you stop polluting the air, that is also socially responsible. So when you use renewable energy, in the short run, you might need technology, or you might need latest technology, you might need latest investment. This will increase your cost of production at the beginning.
Yeah.
But in the long run, you won't need equipment anymore. Maybe you are using wind energy, you are using solar.
Yeah.
So you won't need to buy equipment like you used to buy.
So to be fixed.
It will be so your fixed cost of production would reduce.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy equipment anymore.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So that's the next the point there. Then the last one is increasing social awareness among the public.
Yeah.
There's information gap in the public. There's always information gap. We know little. Firms know more, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
So HBG might improve social awareness to people about the importance of visiting these places. As a result of that, they will be able to maximize their welfare. Get the point here? When you don't have information about something, you might overtake it, you might overconsume it, or underconsume it. Because you don't have information, you will think it is the best. As a result, you consume more, which is not good for you. If you think it is worse, you consume less, and it might be the best. So it's either you are over-consuming or under-consuming because you don't understand, you lack information about it. There's asymmetric information. So whenever there's information gap, it is difficult for consumers to maximize their welfare. Do you understand? So HBG should invest more on advertising. So if HBG invests more on advertising, it improves or increases people's awareness. So people will get more information and they'll be able to maximize their welfare. These are what we call social responsibility. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So we'll go to question 2. That's done question 1. So go to question 2. For questions, they said refer to table 2. So we have to go back to table 2. Contribution, before we go, they said calculate the contribution of the cafe and profit made by the gift shop. So how do we calculate contribution? Contribution is always total revenue minus direct cost. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So we'll go back to the table now. So our total revenue based on the table is for the cafe. They said we should calculate contribution for the cafe. Contribution for the cafe, I told you contribution is revenue minus direct cost. What are direct costs? Direct costs are costs that are linked with production. That's what we call why we call it direct costs.
Like food sales and the wage labor.
You have to check if it is directly linked, because we have indirect costs too. Indirect costs are costs that are for all. So you might have manufacturing. So like in manufacturing accounts, we have direct wages, direct materials. When we add them together, we have indirect expenses. When we add this together, we get our prime cost, which we have to take away from indirect cost. So there's indirect cost, there's direct cost. Indirect costs are overheads. They are expenditures. But direct costs are linked to that production. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
All right, so here we have for contribution, the formula for contribution is revenue, which is total revenue minus direct cost. So our direct costs here are, for the cafe, we have direct costs for food, direct labor. These are the direct costs. Do you get it?
Like direct cost of sales is direct, and direct labor is direct, not indirect.
Direct cost of food
Yeah.
is direct cost.
Yeah.
Direct labor is direct cost too.
Yeah.
So these are the two direct costs we have. Is it clear? So 50,000 plus 20, it is in thousands. It is in thousands.
Yeah.
So $50,000 plus $120,000 gives us $170,000.
Mm.
So the formula for contribution is revenue minus direct
So
cost.
300
So
direct
300,000
cost
minus 170,000.
120,000. Yeah, I understand.
That gives you 170,000. That is our contribution for cafe. Clear?
Yeah.
So the next one is about the gift shop. They said we should calculate for profit. Profit is always, excuse me, profit is always total revenue minus total cost. So our total revenue is for cafe, for gift shop is 200,000.
Yeah.
Then our total revenue our total costs are all the costs. 80,000 plus 40,000 plus 30,000 plus 10,000, all the costs. We call it absorbed cost.
I solved it. Solved it. Oh,
So this cost is called absorbed cost.
yeah.
We call it absorption costing. So you add all this together, you take it away from,
200, so
So-
45.
it gives us 40,000. That's our profit. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So we go on. So now this says refer to your answers for 2A and any other information. Recommend whether HBG should close Oldbury Castle Cafe or not. So based on now, I have to go back to HBG, the cafe. In the cafe, I try to find if the cafe made profit or loss. And to calculate profit, it is total revenue minus total cost. To calculate loss, also is total revenue minus total cost. It is loss when your total revenue is less than your total cost.
Yeah.
So based on this analysis, the total revenue is 300,000 and the total cost is 310,000. I go back to the case study. For the cafe, the total revenue is 300,000. Then the total cost is 50,000 plus 120,000 plus 105,000 plus 35,000, which gives us 310,000. So 300,000 minus 310,000 gives us a negative 10,000. So cafe is making a loss. Then the contribution of the cafe is total revenue minus direct cost, which is this, 160,000.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm making analysis that the cafe should be closed down.
Yeah.
Why did I say so?
Because-
One, it's making a loss.
Yeah.
Two, selling gifts is more profitable than being in the cafe. Do you understand? The third point is I made is that cafe would use more labor. It's labor intensive. I mean, you need more workers in the cafe than in the gift shop. Maybe you just need the receptionist in the gift shop.
Mm.
So you need more workers in the cafe, and having more workers means that your labor cost will increase. But taking it off would mean that you would reduce your labor cost, which will increase profit. Do you understand? So that's about question 2 on. Then go to question 3. So for question 3, they said, discuss whether introducing a decentralized. So they said, discuss whether introducing a decentralized organization structure would benefit HBG. So before we go into decentralized organizational structure, first you have to define what an organizational structure is. And when I talk about organizational structure, it shows the chain of command within an organization, or the span of control, or the level of hierarchy within an organization. That is what an organizational structure is. Then when we talk about decentralized organizational structure, is the one which decisions are made by lower level managers. It is decentralized because decision doesn't come from the top. It comes from the middle level.
Mm.
That's what we call decentralization. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Now, I said HBG should decentralize the organizational structure based on the following reasons. So I'm supporting HBG, Eusebio, to decentralize the organizational structure. First, it empowers others. It empowers other lower ranked workers, as allowing decision making within the middle level will improve their skills in terms of decision making. If there's decentralization, it means that you're giving middle level managers the opportunity to make decisions. And when you give them opportunity to make decisions, you are empowering them. And when you empower them, it improves their skills. So they will be used to making decisions that are being made by the top managers before. It's always the top managers making decisions. But when you decentralize, it allows middle level managers to make decisions that normally it's supposed to be made by the top managers.
Yeah.
So that means you are empowering them, and that could improve their skills of managemental skills. That improves their management skills. Their management skills. Their management skills. In terms of decision making. That's the first point there. 2, it motivates workforce as they will be able to contribute to the growth of the organization. They will feel valued. You know, the workforce are not feeling valued. You know, based on what they said, they don't feel valued. They were complaining, the employees were complaining. The employees were complaining that their voice are not being heard. So with decentralization, it means that employees' voices can be heard. So it's not always going to be upward, it could be downward now. And downward communication downward communication would motivate workers. They won't want to leave the organization. If workers are not motivated, if workers are not happy, it will bring about staff turnover. It will increase staff turnover. Staff turnover means the numbers of workers that leave the organization within a year. So if workers are not happy, that means a lot of workers will leave. But if they are motivated because they feel valued, the staff turnover would reduce. Do you understand the second point there? The third point, decision making becomes quicker as decentralization allows quicker response to change in local conditions. The local managers are complaining that it takes time before the top managers come give them feedback regarding decisions. But now with decentralization, it means the local managers can take decisions about changes within the local environment. Is it clear? However, before decentralization, before taking these decisions, Eusebio must do certain things. Like 1, make consultation. Ensure that all workers, employees are in support of these decisions. You know, you are just coming in. You can't just take this decision. You have to check if employees are in support of it. Especially the ones that are strategic, that are important, like professionals. They have to be in support, number 1. 2, should check if redundancy associated with delayering with conflict with the managers, with management's new emphasis on corporate social responsibility. Another, you know, the management are talking about being socially responsible. So the objective of the management is corporate social responsibility. So if you are delayering, that means you are reducing the numbers of workers. Reducing the numbers of workers will make workers to be unemployed. Yes or no? Yeah. So if they are unemployed, and one of social responsibility is to increase employment. So if you start sacking workers or reducing numbers of workers, you are not socially responsible again. Because you don't care about the community. Because when there's unemployment, an increase in unemployment will bring about social vices like crime, vandalism.
Yeah.
And social responsibility should be reducing crime, reducing vandalism. So if you are delaying, if you are reducing the numbers of workforce, they don't have jobs anymore. They could result into stealing, crime, robbery.
Yeah.
So we have to check, Eusebio has to check if the decision is in line with their corporate social responsibility. Is it clear? So that's question 1, question 2, and question 3. In the next class, we talk about question 4, 5, and 6. Clear, right?